And welcome to the analysis portion of tonight's Democratic debate for mayor. I'm Josh Robin, and we're 20 days from the city primaries on September 10th. And let's welcome our panel for tonight. Joining me are Nicole Bode from DNAinfo.com, Clyde Haberman of the New York Times, Robert George from the New York Post, and Josh Benson from Capital New York. Thanks, guys, for being here. Thanks for watching the debate with me. Clyde, let's start with you. You saw the whole debate. Did it change anything?
It depends for whom. For people around this table who've been following this for a long time, probably not. But the thing is, it's clear that a lot of voters still haven't tuned in on that. And so I think there was a lot to be learned from the candidates. I thought Chris Quinn was particularly deft in a number of her answers. For example, when they were required to ask a question of one another, she basically went after Bill de Blasio via Bill Thompson.
Yeah.
And that was really a clever move. You know, one of the things that's been lost in all this is that we're not there are something like 2.9 million registered Democrats in this city, and maybe a quarter of them are going to vote. And so what's not been asked of these 7 people is what is it about them that has not energized, with 3 weeks to go, what has not energized the electorate in this city to really want to come out on this. So any vote that they could pick up, any head that they can turn, any opinion that they can turn is a victory.
Robert?
Well, I think we should keep in mind what the context was in this. I mean, we've had about a week and a half, almost 2 weeks of what seems like a Bill de Blasio surge in the polls, and I think from that context, I think Chris Quinn had a very strong debate. I think she managed to put Bill de Blasio a little bit on the defensive on some things, and she'd been getting some criticism of seeming almost robotic in some of these debates. I think when asked about the New York Times column today and the seeming criticism of Bill de Blasio's wife labeled against her, I think that she managed to show some emotion there. And as Clyde said, tactically she played the debate very well, going from using Bill Thompson to attack Bill de Blasio, and then separately almost kind of defending Bill de Blasio from an Anthony Weiner attack as well. So I thought it was a pretty good debate for her.
Nicole, getting to the first question, is it going to change anything? Do you think it's going to change any of the poll numbers? I mean, do people all of a sudden say, oh, de Blasio wasn't as good as Quinn tonight. Quinn had a better performance. I'm going to now vote for Quinn.
It's a really good question. I mean, the Quinn de Blasio, you know, the pacing of them being neck and neck with each other, it seems like everything is on sort of it's turning on a dime at this point. You know, they're polling, you know, right next to each other. They're going at each other like nobody else in this campaign. They sort of nodded to the most controversial, you know, debate between the two of them now, that de Blasio's wife versus Quinn, you know, over this controversial thing that de Blasio's wife is quoted in the New York Times as saying.
You're right.
You know, the question is, if anybody was watching this who didn't come in knowing that they were at each other's throats, there would be no question by the end of this debate that those are the two that have the hands down, you know, gloves off, going at each other's throats, and that everyone else has kind of become more marginalized as a result. I mean, Anthony Weiner, literally off to the side, had his arms crossed throughout much of the debate, you know, trying to kind of grab at whatever issues he could. You know, there was a time when he was sort of the center of everyone's attention. So the fact that they're getting as close as they are to each other and there's as much time running out as there is, it really, you know, is giving the voters a lot to work with.
Yeah, Josh, what were your thoughts on the debate?
Well, I don't think it has a transformative impact on the polls, but I do think it was, as everyone here seems to think, a nice stabilizing performance for Quinn, who had a rough go of it for a little while. I think for Bill de Blasio, who spent the night getting a harder time than he's had before, it was more about what didn't happen. Particularly Bill Thompson, we now know what his campaign has calculated is the game, which is to take down Bill de Blasio. And I think he got through the night okay. Nothing terrible happened to him. I think that compared to Christine Quinn, he didn't have a particularly brilliant night, but I don't think any of the attacks particularly took on him.
All right, well, let's take a look actually at what some ordinary New Yorkers thought. They were watching it at a debate watch party in Midtown. Our Courtney Gross was there. Courtney, what was the reaction among the people who you were with tonight?
That's right, Josh. We are here at the BXL bar, which is right next to Town Hall, and I'm standing here with two undecided voters. We have Dara Barr from the from the East Village, and we have Tabita Kanene from the Lower East Side. So let's start with Dara. You came in undecided. Did this debate sway your opinion at all?
I came in mostly in the anybody but Quinn camp. I think she's quite the sellout, and I don't like her policies on stop and frisk, and I haven't liked how she handled the hospital shutdown at St. Vincent's. So I was really looking for a candidate that I thought would do a great job. I've been leaning towards de Blasio, which is who I walked in sort of hoping would come through. I thought he did a great job. I also think he's one of the more progressive candidates, and I hate to admit I think Wiener's also somewhat progressive, but I think we've seen metaphorically and non-metaphorically a little too much of him, but I did think some of his ideas were great, but I think I'm still leaning towards de Blasio. Overall, I thought it was great.
And Sabita, what about you?
I'm also undecided, but I was more impressed by Quinn and Thompson. I think they both feel themselves to, I guess, know the most about the issues. They both have a record of actually doing things. And, I thought, Quinn fielded a lot of attacks from her competitors pretty well. And I thought Quinn and Thompson did a good job of, going against de Blasio, kind of pointing out kind of his, hypocrisies and flip-flops in the past.
Great, thanks. So, Josh, there you have it. I will note that during the lightning round, that the biggest reaction from the crowd here was when Anthony Weiner did say that he had texted while he had been driving, but that was the motion. For now, that is the latest from right outside of Town Hall at the bar next door. Josh, let's send it back to you.
Yeah, somehow, Courtney, I'm not entirely surprised about that with Anthony Weiner, but thanks very much. Let's see what you guys at home think about all this. By using your remote control and hitting the corresponding button, you'll be able to vote in our Snap poll, our question of the day. You do need to have Time Warner Cable, and you'll have 45 seconds to vote. Here's tonight's question. Would the city be better off with one of the candidates on stage elected mayor? Press A for yes, press B for no. We'll have the results at the end of the program. We'll also show you other ways you can have your voice heard by calling or emailing us. Time for a break now. We'll have lots more with our panel coming up. We'll also go back to Town Hall in Manhattan and find out what New York One political commentator Herson Barrero thought of tonight's debate. Don't go away.